KREF app.
The Ref Sports Radio Network.
Live from the Buffalo Wild Wings studios, it's time to get locked into the best Sooner recruiting and football news with Parker Thune and Grayson Singleton.
You better lock it up. No, you lock it up. You lock it up. Lock it up.
Hit the guys up on the Riverwind Casino call-in line at 405-329-9000 or text the show on the Knippelmeyer Chevrolet text line at 405-651-3439.
Do it! Just do it!
Now, with Locked In, here's Parker Thune and Grayson Singleton.
I just saw this tweet from a radio host in another market. A reminder to our callers, while we appreciate your analysis, you can't say he's a big mother effer on live radio. And that, folks, is why we love the Knippelmeyer Chevrolet text line so much. Because we avoid run-ins with the FCC.
That's
by
hilarious.
censoring your content ourselves before it goes over the airwaves. Any of your analysis, any of your insights, they have to go through the filter first via the Knippelmeyer Chevrolet text line. But we look forward every day to fielding all of your texts at 405-651-3439. Man, Grayson, I tell you, I don't know if I've ever been this sweaty doing this show.
You looked like you were out of breath,
dude,
like, running in here.
It is hot outside today. My car thermometer said 100 degrees driving here, and generally, thermometer in your car is a little bit, it'll give you a reading that's a few degrees higher than the actual temperature. But it was freaking hot out there for post-practice interviews and availability. And then I had to sprint halfway through back to my car all the way at the other end of the complex to go grab another SD card because mine filled up.
Oh.
It's one of those mistakes that inevitably you make once every single football season and then never again. And today happened to be that day. I was like, shoot, I haven't cleared this card in freaking forever. And it is full and I am out of space. So, had to take a little jog.
Got your cardio in for the day.
I got my cardio in for the day. No question about it. But as a consequence, I am now very sweaty.
It's one of those things where you realize how out of shape you are. I did something like that this weekend. Well, not something like that. I was like, I'm going to go do some track work, right? So I'm just doing 100-meter sprints over at Moore High School. I get through about 3 of them, and I'm like, no, this ain't it. I can't do this like I could 6 years ago.
Running in the Oklahoma heat, especially this time of year in August, not for the faint of heart.
No.
Literally, not for the faint of heart. You better have a strong cardiovascular system if you're going to subject yourself to that. That's always how it tends to be for the first couple of games of the football season, too. Y'all remember that Tulane game in 2021? How many of y'all were there in the building for OU Tulane 2021? That was the hottest game I have ever covered at the University of Oklahoma, and it's not close. That was a scorcher. I got horribly sunburned. So many people got horribly sunburned. I was even wearing sunscreen that day, and I still got sunburned, put down like 6 bottles of water over the course of the game. And Oklahoma held on. They clung to a late lead. 40-35 was the final in a game that was supposed to be played at Yulman Stadium down in New Orleans. But there's a hurricane that rolled through.
Yeah.
And so Tulane ended up coming up to the University of Oklahoma.
Four-star
Playing a home game at Owen Field.
4-star Sooner Bump says people were dropping like flies.
There you go, Sooner Bump remembers. Shark says, holy smokes, and freaking Mule Shoe warmed up indoors. Did he warm up or did I don't think the team warmed up indoors. I do believe Lincoln Riley was in his dry fit that day, his long sleeve dry fit, as he typically was, which I don't know how anybody could get away with wearing long sleeves that day. But is Lincoln Riley secretly a reptile? The world may never know.
What?
Steely would appreciate that. 405-651-3439. Well, Grayson, we got recruiting news. Boy, we got recruiting news.
That was something, wasn't it?
Out of nowhere yesterday afternoon, boom, there's a commitment day for Jake Kreul. He was talking October. He was talking, I want to see these teams on the field. Then all of a sudden, bang, he's committing on August 12th, which is, for those of you that don't have a calendar handy, next Tuesday. There are 6 days to go. 6 days until we find out where Jake Kreul is going to play his college football. And Grayson, before I get on my soapbox, please do weigh in. Based on this brand new timeline for the commitment, how does this have you feeling, and what do you believe is the trend just based on what we can observe that is objective, which is the kid was talking October, now he's committing a week, 6 days even from now.
The kid was talking October. The kid was saying, I want to see OU win. OU has had the lead for the longest time. Texas has made not just a comeback, but now has all the momentum, and Jake Kreul has moved his timeline up 2 months from what we thought it was. Sometimes, and I think I'm going to speak for the fan base on this one, this looks like a situation where 2 + 2 is going to end up equaling 4. Now, I don't know that for a fact. I have not spoken to anybody. You do a hell of a lot more of that than I do. This does not have me feeling good. Because if you're in a situation where you're saying, I want to see Oklahoma win, which is probably the prudent decision given the state of the program right now and what you're coming off of the last couple of years, you would probably need to see the program win. Now, unless Oklahoma threw some sort of a punch in this fight that we have no idea about, if he's saying, I'm going to commit before I see them win, that kind of means I would think that something pulled at his heartstrings with Texas. That's my guess. I don't know. I could be wrong. I hope I'm wrong. But boy, oh boy, unless Oklahoma's got something up their sleeve that we know nothing about, this doesn't look good.
Think about this. And I've long said that if the timeline was going to be earlier for Jake Kreul and Davian Gross, that would probably favor Oklahoma. I don't know that I feel this way about the way that things have shaken out, because you have to consider what the status quo in this recruitment has been for the longest time. It's been Oklahoma at the top, everybody else chasing. In recent days, it's been Texas that's emerged as the Sooners' primary competition. It was Saturday, Grayson, 4 days ago, that Kreul did the interview with John Garcia Jr. of Rivals.com, in which he was saying, yeah, October-ish, we'll see. And then Tuesday, 72 hours later, the timeline is moved up by 2 months. So when something shifts that drastically and that quickly, what that would lead you to believe is that the status quo has changed.
Exactly, yes.
And so I don't know how you can feel great about this if you're an Oklahoma fan. Now, talking to folks on the OU end, they do not feel as though it is a foregone conclusion that he winds up at Texas. On the OU side, there's still a lot of confidence in where they stand with Jake Kreul. And I also think it's telling, Grayson, that you haven't seen any expert predictions dropped in favor of Texas yet.
That is true.
For instance, Steve Wiltfong, right, who's been a running point in this recruitment in many ways over at Rivals because he is the godfather in the profession. He dropped a prediction for Jake Kreul in late June. As of right now, 2:08 p.m., August 6, 2025, his prediction is still on Oklahoma. Now, he's reported that Texas has momentum, but his prediction remains on Oklahoma. I have not made a prediction. I'm pretty much done making predictions, I think, because ultimately what this industry should be about, in my mind, is sharing the intel and the pulse of a recruitment rather than trying to project the destination, especially these days when there are so many more reasons than ever before that a kid's destination when he commits might not match what the trend was a week or a month or even a year prior. But look, I have said for many weeks now, it's OU till it isn't for Jake Kreul. I still think it's OU till it isn't. But I feel like we're also getting dangerously close to the territory where it isn't, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like,
yeah.
This is worrisome. This is probably the most worrisome development yet.
Do you think that, and I hate going here, and I usually don't because I despise what it conjures up in a lot of people's minds, but do you think that either Texas or Oklahoma has been getting a little bit antsy with this one and said, hey, look, we're going to make you our best offer. We need to know. Do you think that has happened on either one of those sides?
Yes. Yes. I mean, I feel when all of a sudden you're talking months in the future with the timeline and then boom, committing next week. Regardless of whether you have a final decision made in your mind, there is a great degree of confidence in your head that you are ready to make the call one way or another. And I know there have been ongoing conversations between Oklahoma and Jake Kreul's agent, as well as Texas and Jake Kreul's agent. I haven't gotten the sense that either school feels like they have a deal done for the kid. But he does have an agent, right? So you know money is prominently involved, as it's going to be these days for any blue chip recruit. We have discussed this. Evan from Blanchard on the text line says, like clockwork, every year, Parker's sneaky athletic lunch pail man crush commits elsewhere. 2024, Grant Bricks. Yep, he went to Nebraska. 2025, Lincoln Cure and Cade Petchak. Yep, Cure went to Kansas State. Petchak also went to Nebraska. 2026, Jake Kreul. Jake Kreul is not my man crush for the 2026 class. Who did I designate? I think it was Mason James.
I think Mason
it was. James was the one that got my man crush label for the 2026 cycle. And he's not
also
winding up at Oklahoma
somewhere else.
I need to stop doing this, man. I need to just stop with this.
I'm not going to blame the Mason James one on you, though.
It's a hex, evidently. The guy that I slap the man crush label on every single year winds up committing elsewhere. And it's been that way for, 3-4 cycles? I think the last one that OU actually got was PJ in the 2023 class. So, yes, last 3 classes, they've all committed to other schools. Mike S. on the text line says, seems like he's been looking for reasons not to commit to OU. Quite the contrary, Mike.
Hypothesizing here because we don't know. It may be the case that Texas is the one that offered him the financial compensation that he can't resist.
Mm-hmm. A 405 listener says, Nagy may have said pay it, OU said take it or leave it, and Kreul has accepted. That's the optimist's spin on it, right?
Yeah.
Now, again, I have not gotten the impression that is the case. I have gotten the impression that OU feels good about the offer that they have ready to put in front of Kreul. I have not gotten the sense that anything resembling a handshake deal has already taken place. So I don't know where the kid's going to commit 6 days from now. Maybe we'll have a better sense of this as the week progresses. I would imagine we will. But as of right now, what we know is that it's OU or it's Texas.
Ole Miss completely has fallen off.
Yes. OU, Texas. 832 Mike says, I agree, Parker. It makes me resent you a little, and I do want to trust your info. What makes you resent me? I'm curious as to what that is in reference to.
I think it was in reference to your man crushes.
Perhaps. I don't know. That could be, depending on when that text came in, that could be applicable to like a dozen different things. Zach and Purcell says, what are the chances that Texas did something along the lines of Mac Brown's AD saga? I'm sorry, Zach. I might just be too young to know the nature of the Mac Brown AD saga at Texas. You may have to explain that one to me like I'm 5, because I might have been 5 at the time. Mac Brown was the head coach at Texas for a long, long friggin' time. Greg from Lawton says, I'm guessing Texas dropped a bag he couldn't walk away from. Not ideal for Oklahoma, but not the end of the world. If we lose him, all we can do is wish the kid luck and on to the next one. However, it's not over until he signs on the dotted line or he transfers. Boomer. See, that right there is very true, Greg, and it's something that a lot of folks are going to look past because, especially when a kid commits elsewhere, I think Oklahoma's unwillingness to seriously pursue flips, for the most part, over the last few cycles plays into this. But it's almost as though the commitment marks the end of the line in a recruitment in some people's minds, and it doesn't. Like, for instance, who's to say that what happened with Colton Vasek in favor of Texas doesn't happen with Oklahoma in favor of Jake Kreul? Like, what if Jake Kreul does commit to Texas on August 12th? You know when Colton Vasek committed to Oklahoma? August 1st. And then the season came around. And Texas was a serious football operation, and Oklahoma was floundering in a wet paper bag all year in 2022. And it all kind of came to a head in that 49-0 thrashing that Texas laid on OU in the Cotton Bowl in October, sans Dylan Gabriel. And so I think there's a very real world where, let's say, Jake Kreul does come off the board in the Longhorns' favor next week. I think Oklahoma's going to be pretty well equipped to play the long game here. Because if they meet the internal expectations that folks within the program seem to have for this football team, they're going to be able to come back around to Kreul at a certain point in the fall. Be it October, perhaps after beating Texas, or be it close to signing day, and say, hey, look, we've stabilized things here. We still were early to the picture in your recruitment. Like, you appreciate that about us, and you always have. That's the foundation of our relationship, right? Is that we believed in you before so many other programs did. All of the things you love about this program are still real. Like, they haven't gone anywhere. And the one thing you were concerned about, long-term stability, and whether we were going to make it as a staff, well, we've put that question to bed. We've won football games.
Let me ask you this. Given that Texas has closed this gap to where it's seemingly neck and neck now, do you think projecting stability gets it done? Over, let's just say Texas does live up to the hype, and Texas is back as one of the Final Four, Final Eight, competing for a natty. Oklahoma wins 8 games, and it's pretty evident that the coaching staff is going to be coming back. Do you think just being stable is going to be able to hold off a Texas team that now, for 3 straight years, would have been in the national championship picture, given how close it is now?
And I think in that scenario in particular, I don't know if there's going to be enough juice on the Oklahoma side to change Kreul's mind. Again, that's operating under the impression that he does commit to Texas next week, and we don't know. We don't know. It could just as easily be OU as it could be Texas next week. But it's going to be one of those two schools, without question, for Jake Kreul. If it was Ole Miss, I and everyone else that's been covering this thing would be completely stunned. A good old Red River recruiting battle for one of the finest in the state of Florida. No doubt we'll continue to talk about it in great detail and to great lengths over the next several days leading up to next Tuesday's announcement from the 4-star defensive end out of IMG Academy. Okay, folks, keep hitting us up on the Knippelmeyer Chevrolet text line, 405-651-3439. Another practice availability this morning. What did we learn? And what did Brent Venables have to say when he met with the media early this afternoon? We'll discuss next. Keep it here on The Ref, the home of Sooner fans.
This is Deion Burks, and you're listening to The Ref, the home of Sooner fans.
Here in Oklahoma, community is everything. It's where we raise our families, support our neighbors, and help each other through life's toughest moments. At McIntyre Law, we are proud Oklahomans. For us, it's not about just practicing law, it's about giving back.
From taking care of families in need to supporting Oklahomans to encouraging our youngest Oklahomans, we're committed to making our community stronger. Call McIntyre Law at 405-777-7000. Caring for our clients isn't just our job, it's who we are.
Feeling stuck in your current home? Now is the best time to make a move. Home Creations is making home ownership more affordable with low interest rate opportunities and special financing. Don't wait. Live like a champion today. Call Holly at 405-364-9999 to find your dream home.
364-9999 means Home Creations. No one plans for an injury, but when the worst happens, count on the best orthopedic team to turn your setbacks into comebacks. Ortho Central's comprehensive care has you covered, from expert orthopedic surgery and sports medicine to in-house imaging, physical therapy, and even a bone health clinic. So whether it's a fracture, a tear, or just life catching up with you, we're here to get you moving again. Ortho Central, it's in our bones to take care of yours. Learn more at orthocentralok.com.
Insurance companies aren't in the business of saving you money. They're in the business of taking your money. Hi, this is Will Gosney with Yala Gosney Attorneys at Law. Have you ever had an insurance claim and thought, wow, I really am in good hands, or these folks truly are treating me like a neighbor? Well, that's where we can help. We'll deal with the stress. We'll get you back to your normal life. So save our number in your phone, and if you're ever hurt in a wreck, call or text us at 405-800-8080. It's 405-800-8080.
Are you, your family, or company looking for a locally owned and trusted management group? Carlsbad Management Group is an owner, developer, and manager of high-quality apartment communities in Oklahoma. They are a locally owned and operated management company for apartments and self-storage units. They are committed to providing exceptional apartment homes, customer service, and increasing the value of multi-family communities under our management. If you would like a free management quote today, call Carlsbad Management at 405-701-1411 and be part of the Carlsbad family.
Just like that, the Ref has a new way for you to win this football season. And this time, it's got an NFL spin to it. It's the Ref's NFL giveaway, brought to you by Confidence Ford of Norman. Join us at the Edmond Buffalo Wild Wings off of I-35 August 13th from 3 to 7 p.m. as we give away all 32 teams in the league. And if you get one of the 4 teams in the 2 conference title games, you'll win one of our 4 grand prizes. And just like all of our giveaways, even members of the Ref Army who don't get a team still have a chance at one of our many instant prizes. The Ref's NFL giveaway is brought to you by Confidence Ford of Norman. Visit Confidence Ford of Norman to let their family take care of yours. Confidence Ford of Norman, where confidence is Cavender. That's the Ref's NFL giveaway at the Edmond Buffalo Wild Wings on August 13th from 3 to 7 p.m. The Ref, the home of Sooner fans, and the home of the best giveaways in the Sooner State.
Many of our U.S. veterans and service members face challenges: mental health struggles, housing obstacles, food insecurity, and social isolation, to name just a few. I'm Bob Woodruff. My family and I started the Bob Woodruff Foundation in 2006 after I sustained a life-threatening injury while reporting from Iraq. Our service members had my back that day, and we need to have theirs now more than ever. At our foundation, we invest in solutions, so learn more about our work at bobwoodrufffoundation.org/success.
After a shaky start to the 2022-23 season for OU basketball, they defeated the #1 ranked Crimson Tide 93-69 in the Big 12 SEC Challenge in Norman. Grant Sherfield was the leading scorer with 30 points. The Sooners demolished Alabama in front of a jam-packed crowd in the LNC, which resulted in a court storm.
Oh, man. You remember that game?
Yes.
I remember being at a 7-on-7 tournament down in Dallas that day. And I got a college buddy that is a degenerate gambler.
Don't we all?
I mean, he will bet on anything. And so, obviously, during college football and college basketball season, he's got money flying out of both hands on various parlays and all the action he can get on the betting sites. And he texted me that morning. And OU had been playing bad basketball. Like, they just did not look good at all going into that game. Alabama was the #1 team in the nation. And he texted me and asked, should I take, and I forget what the line was. Alabama was favored by, if not 20 points, close to it. And he said, should I take Alabama in the points? I said, yes. This team is, they're just flat out not good. At least in my eyes. Go about my business at the 7-on-7 tournament. Look down at my phone at like 3 in the afternoon. To see that Oklahoma has not only beaten #1 Alabama, but just absolutely steamrolled them in a game that was never close.
Yeah.
And I scroll through my notifications, and I see a text from my gambler buddy. And all it says is, well. That's genuinely, in the time that I've covered the University of Oklahoma, one of the more shocking outcomes across any sport that I can recall. Because that was a mediocre Oklahoma basketball team that year.
Yeah.
They were stunningly average. But for one day in February, or was it January? I can't recall. They laid it on the number one team in the country in the Alabama Crimson Tide, and they could not miss a shot. Also, they had a bunch of football recruits at that game, which was great because there was a court storm, and so I log into social media, and I'm seeing all the recruits post videos of themselves amidst the court storm. Like, wow, okay, you picked a really good day to be on campus.
Got to capitalize on that.
Michael Hawkins was there that day.
I will say this. Number one, a 20-point spread is just not a very good return on investment. I'm surprised your gambling buddy wasn't really aware of that one because I don't know what kind of return you're getting on that. And number two, I just gained a lot of respect for Mets fans.
Mets fans?
So I'm watching this game on MLB Network, and the Cleveland Guardians pitcher had a no-hitter through 8 1/3 and then gave up a solo home run.
Oh.
So they take him out because he's throwing 125 pitches. The entire stadium, it's in New York, entire stadium gives him an ovation.
Well, as they should.
Right.
I mean, that should happen anywhere.
I agreed, but mad respect.
Which pitcher had a no-hitter through 8 1/3?
Gavin Williams.
Gavin Williams. I don't even know who that is.
I wouldn't either if I didn't play MLB The Show to the degree of regularity.
That really does help, doesn't it?
Oh, yeah.
Because, when you play sports video games, that stuff is just kind of seared into your memory. Like, I grew up with a Nintendo GameCube and Madden 05, NCAA 05, NBA Live 05, MVP Baseball. I mean, that was the golden age. I could probably still run down every single MVP Baseball 2005 default starting lineup. Every single one, man. You don't forget that stuff.
No.
Oh, U.S. Army Sooner in Edmond on the Knippelmeyer Chevrolet text line 405-651-3439 says, sounded like a hedge, Parker. Are you starting to shift away from Kreul? I'm starting to shift away from the notion that Oklahoma holds a substantial advantage for Kreul. I don't think Oklahoma, if they still have a lead, it's not what it once was. Texas has narrowed the gap tremendously. And 6 days out, I don't know, U.S. Army Sooner in Edmond. I don't know where the kid's going to commit next week. I'm still under the assumption it's Oklahoma because I haven't heard anything conclusive that would change my mind. And again, it is the industry consensus that Oklahoma has led for Kreul for quite a while. But I would be lying if I said I hadn't begun to doubt the consistency of that trend, particularly over the last, I would say, 5-6 weeks, ever since official visit season wrapped up, because Texas made up a lot of ground during OV season. Since it's Alabama takeover day, we've been doing this every single day on the show, looking back at some notable recruiting battles between Oklahoma and whatever school might be the subject of the SEC team takeover, brought to you by Landers CDJR Norman. Notable OU Alabama recruiting battles. If I miss any, let me know on the Knippelmeyer Chevrolet text line. But the first one that's going to come to mind for a ton of folks is one that OU lost. The battle for Cole Adams in the 2023 cycle. 4-star wide receiver out of Owasso. It had the option to come to OU. Chose to leave the state, chose to play at Alabama because, and in large part, I should say, because Oklahoma took forever to offer Cole Adams. And Alabama was very early. Alabama was one of his, it might have been his first legit big-time offer. I know it wasn't his first P4, but Alabama was the, oh, you've arrived type of offer for Cole Adams. Casey Poe, 4-star offensive lineman in the 2024 class from Lindale, Texas, came down to OU in Alabama, eventually chose the Crimson Tide. Jordan Renaud, 4-star defensive lineman in the 2023 class, I believe he was from Tyler, Texas. That looked like OU for a long, long time, and Alabama was able to swing it pretty late in the process. Makari Vickers, who is no longer at Oklahoma, but was a 4-star defensive back, top 100 overall recruit in the 23 cycle. He chose OU over Alabama. He's now at Colorado, transferred there this past offseason after a couple years at OU. Jace McClellan. That goes back quite a ways.
Running back.
I want to say that was the class of 2020. But Jace McClellan had been committed to Oklahoma forever, Grayson. Forever. I believe since his freshman year of high school. I can't recall offhand where in Texas he was from. But he was committed to Oklahoma solidly for upwards of 2 years. And then Alabama flipped him very late in the process. And I can't recall whether that was pre-NIL or post-NIL, but I understand there were some incentives involved in that deal, which has always been the case in college football. I mean, Oklahoma's benefited from it, and they've wound up on the victims' end of it. But yes, Jace McClellan wound up signing with Alabama after being committed to Oklahoma for longer than I think anyone has ever been committed to Oklahoma in the sport of football, only to not sign. Aledo, thank you. He was from Aledo. That's right.
A texter in the 918 says, the lack of a battle for Josh Jacobs.
Tulsa McLean, right?
Which OU fans, and rightfully so, are never going to let that one
No,
go.
they will not. That's one they will hold on to. Guys currently on OU's roster that they had to fend off Alabama for. Jacoby Johnson, heavily considered Alabama. It was always going to be hard for him not to wind up at OU, and of course he did. Davon Jordan. Davon Jordan was heavily considering Alabama, but chose to stay in state. Derek Simmons, when he was in the transfer portal.
Alabama came calling.
Alabama did come calling, but Bill Bedenbaugh won the battle, and the Western Carolina transfer decided to spend his final year of eligibility as a Sooner. Have I missed any? It doesn't look like it on the Knippelmeyer Chevrolet text line. No one has brought up one to me. Julio Jones, gosh, I'm way too young to recall what the Julio Jones recruiting battle looked like. And that was before yes, that was the internet recruiting era, but that was before the social media recruiting era. It wasn't as clear-cut back then as to what was actually going on behind the scenes. A 405 listener, as we shift gears here, says, say OU has a decent year, 8-4, 9-3. What are the circumstances that would encourage Mateer to play another year?
Him not being good enough to go to the NFL?
That would be number one on the list. If you get your grade back, if you get your draft grade back and it's not good enough, obviously you're coming back to school.
I think that's it. Because especially if they win 9 games, I'll put it this way. I don't see how Oklahoma wins 9 games and John Mateer doesn't get a draft grade that lands him at worst a 3rd-round pick. If John Mateer isn't a difference maker for this team, I don't see how this team wins 9 games. So I think he's going to have to be spectacular for them to get to that point. And then at that point, you're looking at a 1st, maybe a 2nd-round pick, which I guess what happened with Shedeur Sanders last year, I don't even freaking know anymore.
John Mateer is going to have to prove a lot, I think, this fall to become an early round consideration as a redshirt junior. I would say the odds are that he is back at Oklahoma in 2026.
I would
Not
agree.
a certainty by any means, but I would say the odds are that John Mateer is back at Oklahoma in 2026. The situation that creates, though, is, well, if John Mateer is back in 2026, then Michael Hawkins has to wait another year. And I would very well understand it if Michael Hawkins did not want to wait another year.
Yeah.
Because, believe me, much as he loves the University of Oklahoma, and much as his folks love the University of Oklahoma, his priority is to get to the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
And sitting 3 years at the collegiate level, especially for a guy that is as talented as he is, probably not ideal if you're trying to get prepped for a long-term career in the NFL. So, man, there may be a reckoning at season's end, much akin to what there was at the end of the 2023 campaign with Dylan Gabriel and Jackson Arnold, where you got to take stock of where you're at, where you feel like you can go in 2026, and make a calculated decision as to whether you want to run it back with John Mateer or whether you want to create a circumstance, if there isn't a natural one, in which John Mateer can cleanly hand off to Michael Hawkins. The third option is you just do everything in your power financially and otherwise to convince Hawkins that it is worth it to stick around and be QB2 for a third year.
But at that point, I think that's bad roster construction in terms of the financials, because now you are heavily overpaying for a backup.
EJ from Louisiana, hey, good pull. Drew Sanders chose Bama over LSU. Yes, 5-star defensive end who was committed to Oklahoma at one point, if I recall correctly, and then wound up signing with Alabama over OU. Excuse me. He was a 5-star defensive end in the 2020 cycle. It was 2020 or was it 21? Can't quite recall.
Hey, let me ask you this. Since we're talking about players whose timelines to recruit have been unexpected, what's going on with Davian Gross?
I don't have a freaking clue, man. Just waiting. No news whatsoever when it comes to Gross. I mean, I feel like my good buddy Sam Spiegelman, like he's doing his best to keep us apprised on the whole Gross situation, but it definitely feels like we're reading the same article like every 4 or 5 days, right? Well,
yeah.
Okay, OU, Baylor, Houston, Florida, and the decision should be soon. And that's what his camp keeps telling people, is the decision's going to be soon, and the decision still doesn't happen. And here we are on August 6th. Nothing.
It's almost like him and Kreul flip timelines.
I know. How crazy is that? Like, if you'd have told me Jake Kreul was going to commit before Davian Gross, even as recently as, like, yesterday, I'd have been like, absolutely no way. But that's where we're at. That 405 listener wants to know, does John Mateer come back at 7-6, 6-7? Does anyone come back?
I was about to say, I think there's a bigger overarching question than John
There's
Mateer.
going to be a lot of change in the building if they go 7-6, 6-7. I think John Mateer is going to be particularly motivated to come back to Oklahoma, though, if this team, say, goes to the college football playoff but doesn't win it. If you get within shouting distance of the mountaintop but don't ascend it, then I think especially for a guy that's staring down the barrel at one final year of college football, for an institution that he does love, that will provide all the motivation he needs to return for his senior year at OU. So I don't know what anything looks like beyond 2025. None of us know what anything looks like beyond 2025 because things could be radically different a year from now based on what happens on the field over the next 4 months. So I would say let's table the majority of these conversations until we see how this upcoming season plays out, and then we'll go from there. All right, folks, one final segment of Locked In is on deck. 405-651-3439 is the Knippelmeyer Chevrolet text line. Keep it here on The Ref. The home of Sooner fans. We'll be back.
Join the movement. The Ref Army is growing. Don't miss a second of the Sooner coverage you want with the KREF app, the #1 source for Sooner fans.
The City of Norman encourages you to shop small this summer. What better place to eat, shop, and play local than historic Main Street in downtown Norman? With over 65 years of experience, Mr. Robert Fine Furniture and Design stands for quality. Family owned in the heart of Norman, their exquisite showroom is filled with unique items from around the globe. The historic Sooner Theater is a summer staple and a must-see downtown. See great local theater, concerts, or attend performing arts classes. Find upcoming events and tickets at SoonerTheater.org. Visit Oklahoma's premier art gallery specializing in Native American, Oklahoman, and Western art. Find original art, pottery, jewelry, made in Oklahoma products, and so much more at Tribes Gallery on Main Street in the heart of Norman. Join the City of Norman and keep it local this summer when you eat, shop, and play in downtown Norman.
This is Mark Van Hoos, owner of Van Hoos Fence. Van Hoos Fence has years of experience and proven superior performance, kind of like a certain head ball coach.
We know Van Hoos Fence offers the best value and service for your residential, commercial, or sports fencing needs, whether it's a new install or repair work. Let Mark and his team at Van Hoos Fence be your trusted resource.
Call us today at 405-735-1167.
Save yourself from Googling it up. Go to vhfence.com. They will work with you in a great way.
Do you have gardening or planting projects coming up? Don't forget to call Okie first to avoid hitting buried utility lines that could lead to costly repairs. OEC and OEC Fiber depend on underground cables and lines to power and connect over 100,000 homes and businesses across central Oklahoma. This vital infrastructure helps ensure we can continue providing reliable, safe service. Please keep yourself and others safe by calling Okie, that's 811, before digging. OEC and OEC Fiber, the power of connection.
Now. We tend not to think about now. We dream about tomorrow, relive yesterday. But right now in front of us is victory over cancer. Right now, cancer research funded by the V Foundation is leading to better treatments and saving lives. Victory over cancer is there for the taking by you, because today's cancer research is tomorrow's victory. Learn more at v.org.
Don't give up. Don't ever give up.
Dreaming of an escape? What about a relaxing escape to your very own backyard? Signature Custom Pools can turn your dreams into reality. Signature Custom Pools creates distinctive designs to fit your perfect getaway. Call Signature Custom Pools for your free design consultation at 405-898-9098 or visit them online at signaturecustompools.com and turn your backyard into your dream escape.
Morning weather changes quickly. Road conditions change even faster.
Be prepared and stay on time with KOCO 5 News in the morning.
Real-time traffic updates and your first alert forecast to help you stay on time and get there safely.
Sky 5, the only news helicopter flying for you every weekday morning.
Bringing you instant looks at slowdowns and alternate routes. Oklahoma City's most accurate forecast, so you'll know what to wear and when to make a dash out the door.
Trust KOCO 5 News in the morning.
Once upon a time, our family had trouble with pests around our home. Did you know that stinging insects send tons of people to the hospital? And teeny ticks and mosquitoes can be all around the yard. Their bites can make people and their pets sick. Mice, rats, and roaches need food and water just like us. You do not want them to visit. They can spread disease and make it hard to breathe. I'm sure glad this story has a happy ending.
Learn how to protect your family at pestworld.org. A public service message from the National Pest Management Association.
One final segment of Locked In here on the Ref, the home of Sooner fans. Parker Thune alongside Grayson Singleton. The show brought to you by Dorsey Jones GMC in El Reno. Family owned and operated. They pride themselves on having the best service technicians and friendly service advisors that put your needs first. They also got half-price oil changes on Saturdays. Head out there. Check out their lineup at GMC. Some of the best trucks and SUVs on the road today in terms of reliability. Dorsey Jones GMC in El Reno. A listener chimed in on the Knippelmeyer Chevrolet text line 405-651-3439 to ask, is Andy Bass still on the team? Yes, Andy Bass is still on the team. Andy Bass is recovering from an ACL surgery from which he is about 6 months removed, close to 7. But this kind of rolls right into a conversation that I wanted to get into, Grayson. I'm sure you and Steely talked about this as well during the 12 and 1 o'clock window where I was briefly out there at post-practice availabilities. But the Sooners had 2 healthy running backs today for practice.
Yeah.
Javonte Barnes and Torrey Blaylock. Obviously, Andy Bass is still rehabbing. Taylor Tatum has been limited. Xavier Robinson has not practiced yet this fall.
What happened to him? Did I miss that?
I believe it's a foot. I don't know exactly what the specific nature of the injury is, but He's been dealing with, again, a minor injury. I want to emphasize minor here. Him and Tatum both. And then Jaden Ott dinged up his shoulder yesterday in practice. He was out there in pads doing individual rehab work. None of these guys are on the shelf for the long run. But as it stands, there are only 2 fully healthy running backs at the University of Oklahoma, Javonte Barnes and Torrey Blaylock. And not just like we're not just talking scholarship running backs either. Running backs, period. Because Gabe Sawchuk, who is still around, by the way, as a walk-on, he is also rehabbing something. I would be lying if I said I know exactly what.
Something.
So, 2 dudes, not 2 scholarship dudes, 2 dudes. Barnes, Blaylock, that's it.
Okay, so you reported that it's a sprained AC joint for Jaden Ott.
Yes, that is what I've been told.
That's the belief there. Are we downplaying that? Because every time I see somebody sprained an AC joint, that seems like one of those things that lingers a little bit. And especially at the running back position where you're lowering your shoulder like that, that gives me a little bit of concern.
And to me, it's not something you really want to screw with. Like, I was told they're going to have him back on the practice field in a matter of days in all likelihood.
Which
like,
that seems pretty quick.
That does seem quick to me. I mean, Jaden Ott is the last guy you want hurt, right?
Yeah, no
Except
kidding.
for John Mateer.
Well,
With that obvious exception, Jaden Ott is like the last guy you want hurt. And so I would not mind if we didn't see him for 2-3 weeks. I frankly wouldn't mind if we didn't see him till the Michigan game, because I just feel like that is the guy you should make absolutely certain is 100% for the games that matter, if it's within your power to do so.
Okay, let's talk about that for a second, because if we are keeping a count, that's about 3 or 4 dudes that you have said I wouldn't mind seeing them again until the Michigan game.
And
at what point do we get to there's too many dudes that we'd rather not see till the Michigan game?
Okay,
because you don't want your guys the first time they play with each other, because this is a transfer heavy offense. You don't want that to be the first time where we're running out there against Michigan.
I guess what I mean when I say the Michigan game is the week of the Michigan game, the week of practice.
No, I know that.
Game. Yeah, because obviously you're not going to just send a guy out there cold on Saturday.
Right.
That's kind of what they tried to do last fall with Nick Anderson, and obviously
we saw how that worked
did
out.
Not go well. So, look, here is where there's a weird dichotomy, if you will. Fans are going to get really, really worried if they don't see Jaden Ott back out on the practice field at some point in August. But from my perspective, I'm like, is that a bad thing? With what he's dealing with, and we know exactly what the injury is in his case.
Yeah.
We know exactly what he's dealing with. I'm kind of at the point where I'm like, do you just shut that dude down for the rest of fall camp and get him back up to speed, like week of the Illinois State game or week of the Michigan game? Like, I'm not going to be bothered by that if that's what they do.
I wouldn't be bothered by it, but keep this in mind too. Jaden Ott got here in the spring. Like, in the middle of the spring is when Jaden Ott got here. You're talking about developing a synergy with a quarterback who's in his first year of the program, even though not the offensive system. A bunch of receivers who have come from all corners of the galaxy. Some tight ends who have come from all corners of the galaxy. A right tackle who's from Western Carolina. You see what I'm saying here? This isn't a unit that has been playing together by any stretch of the imagination, by the way, for multiple years on end. This is an offense that we think is going to be good, but is an offense that has been cobbled together from all corners of the United States of America. You want these dudes to have as much practice time together as possible.
I've gotten this feedback a few times. This is from a listener out in Odessa, Texas. I truly appreciate the hard work and reporting you do, but maybe we should stop giving reports on injuries for a while?
I feel like that's the crux of your job.
It is. And I even mentioned that on Twitter today. I'm like, I'm saying this stuff because it's my job to say this stuff. You know, like, wouldn't it be worse if I didn't?
Yeah.
Wouldn't you feel like something was afoot if I didn't?
If you all of a sudden
found
went
out,
ghost mode.
If you found out on like August 20th that, there have been like 10, 12 dudes dealing with various injuries throughout August and Parker hasn't said a dang thing about it, what's he trying to hide? Listen, folks, I just present the information. What you do with the information is up to you. the information today, P.J. Adibawara didn't practice. Grayson Halton didn't practice. Jaden Ott, Caden Helms, Taylor Tatum, Xavier Robinson, and several others that we've mentioned, Eli Bowen and the rest. They all were off the practice field today. The two guys that we did not see at all, and generally when you don't see a guy, period, it's because he's in concussion protocol. The two guys that we did not see out on the practice field at all were Derek Simmons and Zion Kearney. And I am willing to acknowledge, yes, both of those guys, to my understanding, are in the concussion protocol. So that is why they weren't out there. If ever you see a report from me or anyone else that says, we did not see so-and-so at practice in any capacity whatsoever, that almost assuredly means they are dealing with concussion symptoms. And that is the case for Simmons and Kearney.
I hate these texts, man. A listener in the 405 said, these kids are soft.
And it feels like a lot of people are saying that on social media and elsewhere, but what do you want Caden Helms to do? Is it he broke his hand, he's soft?
Has anybody here ever broken your hand? Because I have. I did it my sophomore year of high school. That has nothing to do with being soft or not. Generally, those are freak accidents. My case it was. I'm going to assume in Caden Helms' case, it was something out of his control. The dudes aren't soft.
What can you do when you break your hand?
What are we doing here?
Yeah, I mean, if you want to argue that a guy is just made of glass, okay. But in terms of their mentality, in terms of their desire to be out there on the field competing, let's not even begin with the insinuation that guys like Caden Helms and Jaden Gibson and Deion Burks don't want to be out there. Because they do. That goes back to the Nick Saban rant that Steely played in the 12 o'clock hour, right?
Yeah.
Nobody wants it more than the dudes that are actually out there playing for it. You don't want it more. I don't want it more. Nobody wants it more than them. Mark and Blanchard asks, how in the hell does a guy get a concussion in shorts and shoulder pads with a pillow on their helmets? Mark, I don't know, okay?
Okay, I'm not going to lie. I'm with Mark there. I do kind of want to, and I know they've been getting physical in practice because I've seen the videos, but how are we getting concussions right now?
I don't know.
Like soft tissue injuries, I get where you're cutting and stuff like that, and you might tweak something. I've played sports, I get that. But how are we getting concussed already?
Cool Moj says, yeah, those players need to learn how to keep their brains from rattling around inside their head whenever they get hit really hard.
Oh, boy.
Thank you for providing some comic relief here, Cool Moj. Again, it's a sarcastic take, but it's the correct one. Wait, what are you going to do?
Exactly.
Regardless of how it happens, a guy has a concussion. It's not because he's soft.
A texter with the 405 says, put it in a cast and get back out there like them dudes in the 70s. Isn't Caden Helms back out there in a cast?
He is back out there in a cast, yes, and they're not letting him practice, but he's out there doing all that he can, all that they'll let him do with a cast on. He also plays tight end, a position at which you have to catch the football.
Yeah, you might want your full hand and function of your fingers to do that.
Uh-huh. And Christy, thank you. See, I love rationality on the text line, especially in moments like this. Christy says, Helms is hardly soft. He's fought through a lot. A lot of players would have quit. Yeah, the fact that Caden Helms is still at the University of Oklahoma should tell you all that you need to know about his mental resolve. Not only to get back on the field, but to get back on the field in the Crimson and Green.
James in Lawton says, is the staff being overly cautious or is our entire roster made of paper mache?
Could be either one, James. I don't know. Maybe the roster is made of paper mache. Maybe there's some hex over the program. A 405 listener says, why is it that we never hear about any other blue blood programs having these injury problems at this level and the amount of people? What are they doing wrong at OU? Look, I want to put this in adequate perspective because the reason you don't hear about any other blue blood programs dealing with injury issues, quite frankly, is because you, the Oklahoma fan, don't pay nearly as much attention to those programs. I'm sure fans of Texas right now are wondering, really? Why does it have to be us, of all programs, that loses our starting right tackle to a torn ACL?
I was going to say, you haven't had that happen.
Exactly. You don't have anybody on the sideline all year as of this point. So, bunch of guys dealing with a bunch of minor things. This happens in fall camp. Football's a violent sport. You know, is what it is. What can you do? Move forward. Sooners got good depth across the board. That much I feel confident in. All right, folks, The Rush is up next with Tyler McComas and Teddy Lehman. We're done. We'll see you tomorrow here on Locked In.
Football. You love